It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, it's the last day to register to vote in Pennsylvania. So if you have been delaying, now is your time. And it turns out Allegheny County is way ahead of the curve. We've got satellite voting centers. We've got fancy new mail-in envelopes. We even have these new machines to help us count the ballots, which is good because on Election Day, everyone from the coroner to the clerks are all working in the warehouse to get our ballots counted. And did we mention that we are actually better at it than Philly? Today, we're talking about what happens when the polls open in a couple of weeks and when they close, plus what you need to know to cast your ballot in whatever way you choose. It's Monday, October 21st. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with Abigail Gardner, the communications director for the county executive's office. Thank you for joining us on CityCast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So tell me what happens on election night. 8 p.m., polls close. What happens next?
Sure. So, for the elections division, we kind of have two different tasks that we're running simultaneously on election day. We are, for the first time, opening and tabulating all the mail-in ballots, of which I think we're on track to maybe see north of 200,000. Not everyone who requests one returns one, but given where we are now, let's just say for the sake of math, 200,000 mail-in ballots have to be opened and counted. Our goal with the elections division for Allegheny County is to have as many of those as possible counted. So at 8 p.m., the information goes on the website where you see election results for every election. If you're a elections nerd in Allegheny County, to go to the elections website, there will be a link way up at the top in the banner. Look at the election results and you can dive in on all your races, check your precincts, who's reported. So those mail-in numbers get posted really quickly after 8 p.m. Simultaneously, everybody who voted on election day in person, we have 900 plus polling places happening across the county, and the staff, the poll workers, the judge of elections, they have to close up the polling location. They have to take a thumb drive basically out of the machine and drive it to one of our regional reporting centers. And then you start to see that data get uploaded on the same website. Maybe the first drop comes closer to 9 p.m. because it takes some time to do all that. And then you see maybe every half hour or so, there'll be a refresh of more data. That probably goes until midnight. Usually by midnight, we kind of have everything in that we're going to get in.
Do you expect Allegheny County to finish counting votes on election night?
I do.
Why do we do it so much faster than Philly? Why are we better than them?
It's a great question. I do not live to cast aspersions at our friends in Philadelphia. Their process is none of my business. But my understanding is that the county actually did use some COVID relief funds to buy better equipment. So obviously mail-in was new in 2020. It's the first time we ever had to do it, and we had to do it at such a vast scale. So there had to be investments in machines that otherwise you might not think that much about, but high-speed envelope openers, high-speed scanners. So we bought the Blue Crest, which is the Corvette of sorters. Like, it sorts and scans the declaration envelope very quickly, and then it also can open very quickly.
So the machine does all of the things. You just hand it a sealed envelope and it goes from there?
Yeah, so it can. So right now, as the 200,000 mail-in envelopes are coming back, we scan them, and there's a barcode, so they're entered into a system to say that voter John Doe has returned his ballot, and we can see like the signature line, the date line, and we're scanning the barcode, putting it into the system. So then you get an email if you gave us your email to trigger, like, we've received your ballot. as far as we can tell from the outside, it's good to go, no problems.
Yeah.
All set.
So you know that it's been returned, but you don't know what's inside it yet.
Correct. We're not allowed to open until 7 a.m. on election day. This has been like well covered territory that we cannot pre-canvass, and pre-canvass means open those envelopes and take the ballots out.
Because there's been a ton of reporting about vote counts in Pennsylvania, but I think what they mean is like the number of ballots returned, not results.
Correct. Nobody knows results yet. We are not allowed to open these envelopes until 7 a.m. on election day when the polls open. So the who requested the ballot, their party. So you can sort of aggregate, maybe 70% of people who are requesting mail-in ballots are Democrats, 20% are Republicans, 10% are other, So you kind of roughly know that, but you do not actually know who they voted for.
Yeah, it could be a Democrat who voted for a Republican who voted for Democrats.
The whole ballot could be blank.
Yep.
None of my business what they did with
maybe
that ballot.
They voted for Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
Right, but they did return it. So we know that. On election day then, we go through a process where everybody will check the outer envelope one more time to make sure it looks good. It's been signed, it's been dated. You want to be able to see through the hole punch that there is a secrecy envelope in there. It's not a naked ballot. So
which is unique to Allegheny County.
Some other counties are doing it, but this is the first time Allegheny County has done the hole punch, which is very exciting.
You're actually holding an envelope here, a sample one. I didn't realize until this week, I'll be honest, that this was kind of designed county to county, so Allegheny County could design their own. Can you walk us through some of the unique features of the Allegheny County ballot?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a mail-in voter or someone who obsesses about what happens with mail-in votes and all the ways that they can go wrong, I'm excited that Allegheny County has made a couple envelope innovations this time around where we have pre-printed the year 2024 on the declaration envelope. So where it says sign and date with today's date, we have helped voters out by putting 2024 in there, because some voters would sign and then they would do their date of birth, which I understand. They think we're looking for identification and whatever, but we weren't. We were looking for today's date. So we have put the year 2024 on there to help people correctly list today's date. And then we also did a hole punch. So now you can see visibly if somebody remembered to use their secrecy envelope or if the ballot is naked. And that's very important because it's been pretty settled law, I think, at this point, that if the ballot is naked, we can't count it. And if you forget to sign and if you don't have a date on the declaration envelope, we are not able to count it. So we're trying to do these things to help lower the error rate. And I'm excited that it seems to be working. In the first few weeks since we mailed out ballots, the number of ballots that have come back with a mistake on the declaration envelope on the outside has been cut in half versus previous elections. So it's really exciting.
That's called ballot curing, which I will be honest, I learned about from you yesterday.
Yes. So the curing process, I don't know how we ended up calling it curing, but I guess it makes sense. The curing process is if somebody sends you a ballot and there's some missing information or incorrect information on the declaration envelope that is going
visible from the outside.
Yes, that is going to make it so that we cannot accept and process their ballot. So in the previous elections, we would see on average 1.2, 1.3% of return ballots had an error on the declaration envelope. We were a very aggressive county in terms of trying to get those ballots cured. So we would not accept it. We would immediately put it in the mail back to the voter with a letter explaining what they did wrong, directions asking them to fix it. We would give them a new outer envelope if they needed one. If all you did was forget to sign it, it's like just sign it, put a new stamp on it, send it back. But if you need a new envelope, we give you a new envelope. Don't forget to put a stamp on your envelope, send it back to us. So in the primary, that system got over 60% of the ballots that had a mistake on them corrected, which is great. I mean, way higher than every other county in the state. Back to why is Allegheny County the best? Very aggressive on the curing. And then, back to the Blue Crest on election day, after we visibly inspect the outer envelopes to make sure that they're good to go and, we can proceed with counting the ballots, we have this high-speed envelope opener that can open up to 50,000 ballots an hour. So we're running these 200,000 ballots through the Blue Crest. You open the outer envelope. Humans will take the secrecy envelope out of the outer envelope once it's been opened. We will put the outer envelope aside. We save those for 2 years. And then we run the envelopes through the Blue Crest again. $50,000 an hour. We open the next round, and then the humans take the ballots out of the inner envelope. We unfold them, we flatten them, and then we put them through high-speed scanners. And so we'll have over 200 county employees in the warehouse. These are not election division workers. We're very, I don't know, is the word egalitarian? Like on election day, everybody works elections. So you can be the health director, you can be the chief public defender, you can be the parks director. On election day, you are sitting there and you're opening envelopes and you're taking the ballots out of the envelopes and you're carefully unfolding them and flattening them, getting them ready for the scanner. We do that, I think, with just incredible efficiency and precision. The county has been improving their process relentlessly since 2020. The goal is to have everything counted and the data posted as close to 8 p.m. as possible.
The overtime on that must be fun. Like, I hope you get like a good party, like some election night pizza, something.
We do feed them. There's breakfast and lunch, and if necessary, dinner. Though what I saw in the primary is a lot of people are done by mid-afternoon. So we'll have more ballots to count in the general than we did in the primary, but most of that envelope opening, which is what we need all the people for, should be done by mid-afternoon, and then you're just scanning. And I will also remind people that we can accept ballots up until 8 p.m. on election night, but they have to be in our hot little hands. So you need to come downtown to the county office building on election day. If you are still holding your ballot and you want to turn it in, you want that vote by mail ballot to count, you need to come downtown to the county office building and give it to us. But we will accept ballots up until 8 p.m. Do not put it in the mail. It being postmarked is not good enough. That is settled law. We cannot accept a ballot that comes in late just because it's postmarked. Mm-hmm. Your other option is you go to your polling place. You say, hey, I will be noted in the poll book as someone who already requested a mail-in ballot. I want to spoil my ballot. And so the poll worker can take the ballot from you, destroy it, and then have you vote in person. So some people do that, but I think you get nervous. Is my poll worker going to understand this? Am I going to be the only person at my precinct who's making this request? And so some people just prefer to try to get it to us in person at the county office building.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates will patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. For comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes issues that arise. Protect your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast.
I'm going to ask a stupid question, but how do you explain it to people when they ask you why Pennsylvania doesn't just have early voting, normal early voting?
Well, that's a decision made at the state level.
Right.
So why are we like this? I can't really say. I will say prior to when we had mail-in voting, I was someone who, because of my job, often had to travel and be away on election day. And so what I would do then is go to the election office. You'd have to request an absentee ballot, and you would have to have an excuse. Like, I'm going to be in surgery. I'm going to be traveling for work. And then they would print out your ballot, give it to you, you'd vote, you'd hand it back to them. And
that was the process until very recently.
Yeah, until they switched it for mail-in in 2020. So you had to have an excuse. Basically now with mail-in, we have said you don't have to have an excuse anymore. But we do have these limitations on the time frame you can use it. I think that's what people probably miss the most, is that the deadline to request your mail-in ballot is October 29th. And since we've made it really a mail-in process first and not so much an in-person early voting process, someone who realizes they have to travel on election day, but they realize it kind of late, or their mom has surgery that day and they're her ride, right? You kind of need to have done the planning in advance and asked for that mail-in ballot. In that last week before election day, technically the mail-in ballot window is closed. So you're back to doing what we did before 2020. You have to go to the election office in person downtown and now ask for like an emergency ballot. Now you're saying, hey, I have an excuse. I'm not going to be here on election day. Can I please vote? And because we don't really have early voting in that highly accessible in person, just wander in and vote at your leisure, people do still find themselves in these sort of emergency situations, and you have to figure it out.
Yeah. So how do all of those options differ from the new satellite options here in Allegheny County?
Sure. So we have these satellite elections offices that we're really excited about. Prior to the mail-in deadline on October 29th, we will have offices open at North Park, South Park, CCAC Homewood, and of course our reliable county office building downtown. And at that office, you can walk in and you can request your mail-in ballot on the spot, and you can vote it and hand it back over to a human being. So functionally, that is what we have for early voting. It's just in those 4 locations I rattled off, it's just the 2 weekends before Election Day. So it's not 7 days a week. It's not every polling place, but it is a great service for anxious voters who want to get it over with, know their vote has been counted, not worry about the mail, give it to that person, make eye contact, make them look at the outer envelope on the spot and confirm that I got it right and you're going to count this ballot. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You know that you got it taken care of.
So we can't have a straightforwardly nice thing in the state of Pennsylvania. So Allegheny County has figured out this way to give us a mostly pretty nice thing occasionally before the election.
Yes, I will say it's incredibly labor intensive. It is expensive. We have to have laptops and printers on site because you have to print the ballots, right? I mean, you have to be staffed by county workers. This is not something we're going to outsource to volunteers.
They're not the standard election worker.
No, it is not a poll worker who we very much appreciate their service on election day. But, you know, those 6,000 poll workers are like one-day volunteers who get a stipend versus being a county employee where we have to pay them overtime and all of that. Elections, I think, are worth an investment, and especially an election where you're looking at maybe 70% turnout in a county that has over 900,000 voters. I think it's appropriate to go above and beyond to try to make it more accessible to people.
Yeah. Anything that you think folks typically misunderstand about this whole process that you want your friends and neighbors to please get this cycle?
I think the deadlines are really important. So if you might want to mail in vote or you want to vote in person at one of these satellite offices, do not delay. The time is now. So Allegheny Votes will take you to our election website, and that'll have all the information. After the satellite offices, you can return your ballot at one of our ballot return sites. We'll have more ballot return sites. I will not list them all off. I think there's 10 of them. That is after the mail-in deadline. So you can no longer request a ballot at one of those. But if you have a mail-in ballot, sitting on your dining room table, it's time to turn it in. You can look up one of those ballot return sites and take it in person. And then I would say, if you really give me the numbers, I want the results, what's happening, you want to watch that on election night, is to come to our website and click election results and check it out. And don't text me and ask me what's happening, because I get a lot of texts from reporters and, friends in other states asking me what's going on as though I have special information, and I don't. I'm looking at the website like everybody else.
Although I would say, pro tip to anybody that really wants to immerse themselves in that, also pull up the state election website, because you could get unnecessarily excited by the returns in Allegheny County, thinking that they mean more than they actually do.
That's fair. Yes. No, the results of Allegheny County are not, we don't get to dictate what every other county does. Those are just our results. But
speaking from experience, I have had to point that out to a number of friends and loved ones over the years.
They get a little too excited. Allegheny County results. That's fair. If you're looking at a race that is only an Allegheny County race, if your cousin is running for state rep, right, then you only need maybe to look at the Allegheny County website. But yes, many seats, Congresswoman Lee's seat and Congressman DeLuzio's seat also bleed into other counties. So sometimes you need to check Westmoreland or Butler. And
if you want to know how the Senate race goes,
Right.
if you're interested in the presidential election, you have to focus on the statewide
hot
results.
tip.
Yeah.
Yes, hot tip. You have to look at the entire state. No, but for me personally, I do obsess about Allegheny County. So I'll be looking at that website just like everyone else, refreshing, watching the results come in.
Yeah.
While I watch Steve Kornacki or whoever in the background. So
Gotta have those khaki slacks.
Yeah.
And only because I have seen you do this in previous election cycles. Give your best pitch. Why does this election matter? Why should people vote?
Oh gosh. Well, there's a lot on the line. And, the county executive has talked about how our budget at the county level is dramatically impacted by what happens at the federal and the state level. So a lot of the nice things we have, if you like that Armstrong Tunnel getting rehabbed, that is a county-owned tunnel that we are rehabbing with federal dollars. A lot of our infrastructure projects here are funded like 9-1. It's federal money. I know that federal offices can feel very far away, and sometimes it isn't really grounded in what is actually going to happen here. But trust me, the choices they make at that level very much impact the community we live in Allegheny County. So it is worth thinking about that and like checking out the candidates and what they would do that might trickle down to us on the local level.
Abby, thank you so much. I hope election night goes well.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're liking the show, please tell someone, rate us, leave us a nice review, and make sure you're subscribed to that Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
I feel like we're zoo animals. It's like CBS, ABC, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, Belgian TV, Swedish TV.
You are in a swing state.
Yeah. Big county in a swing state.
Yeah.